Ah yes, the ambient pad. What makes this also important component so sublime? Is it that etheric feeling we get when oscillator meets filter and gets multiplied into reverb? Is it the washes of sound that turn into colors, setting the mood for our tracks and evoke the senses to the stars? Or is it the blissful backdrop that gets created when the perfect pad gets placed underneath the arrangement, the sort of existential glue that pads often bring to the music? Maybe it's all of the above, and in today's video, we're going to take an existing pad made in Serum that was good, but it needed some work. So hopefully the tips that I give you will help you take your sound design to the next level and ultimately train your producer's ear on what to listen out for so you can get a better result each and every time. As a reminder before we start, I offer exclusive content over on Patreon, so if you like this kind of video and you want more of it, be sure to check out my Patreon page. I'll link that down below. That being said, let's dive into this ambient pad tutorial. What's up guys? Chris here from Signs of Life. Welcome back and welcome to this Patreon exclusive tutorial. I have a pad here in front of me that we're going to listen to and then we're going to fix. This pad was submitted by somebody who I work with who takes ambient coaching from me. And for all intents and purposes, I'm not going to mention his name, but I think there's a teaching moment here, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind if we used his pad as an example of how to get beyond, certain blockades in your sound design. There's a lot of technical considerations when it comes to pad sound design. I see a lot of people making the same mistakes. So we're just gonna go in and try to fix those mistakes here now. This is a pad in Serum, and again, these principles can apply to any pad of your choice. So we're going to talk about frequency and analysis and filtering and filter envelopes and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, here's a pad and I have a span here on the bottom and you're going to immediately tell what's wrong with it. Check it out. That's hot. All right, that's hot. Now, if you didn't sense anything wrong with that, then this video is definitely for you, right? Now, immediately right off the bat, I don't know if you could tell, but I have the master fader at around -10 dB. That's how hot this pad was coming in, all right? So first of all, technically speaking, you don't want your pads to be that loud, okay? The pad is not meant to be like an element. I mean, especially because if you stack them, it's not meant to be an element that's gonna take over that frequency space. So right off the bat, I'm going to take down the master fader, the master knob rather. It's at -4.2 dB. Now, normally you think, okay, it's under 100, it's fine, right? But I mean, when you deal with multiple oscillators and you have a sub oscillator, a noise oscillator, and a filter involved, it's like there's so much noise there, right? So pulling this down, say 5 dB to like -10. Now we're at -10 of -10, and already you don't get that blistering like digital edge, right? But however, I held the frequency on the span to kind of show you guys like what is going on here. Like, normally, a pad lives anywhere between 2 and 3, like the 2 to 400 range, all the way to like 3K, okay? Then he has a lot of energy, like a lot of energy between, like 1K and 10K. Like there's just so much there, that whole mountain. If we were on Zoom and I could draw this, I would draw this whole, and I would carve this entire section out. Now, it's not like you cannot have pads that live there. I've played a lot of really good pads from Echo Season and Luft Drum, things like that have these washes of beautiful high frequency come in, just whoosh, right? Now, how do you get rid of that? All right, that's the question. So I'm gonna unhold this, and I'm not saying that you should like filter your pads to hell and then they never breathe, but I am saying that you should make considerations when using that space, because that space is supposed to be occupied by other elements, such as like higher, like technical, like, glitchy stuff and like noise and things like that, right? And stuff that can come in and out. You really want to be toying with the high frequencies. But if you fill it up with a pad, there's no room left at all to do anything with the high frequencies. All right, so this cutoff is being affected by envelope 2. All right, so one thing we can do to lower the volume, because the sustain here is at 100%. I don't usually like to use sustain in my filter envelopes. I like to just use an attack and decay. It's much more simple, right? So if you use attack and decay and take the sustain out of it, then it's gonna fall as soon as it reaches that peak. That's nice. Now, if you do wanna hold it, I don't recommend, that sustain is your volume in that case. So bringing the sustain down, sustain, as you know, is where does it sustain? Where does it hold, right? So immediately, that sustain becomes a volume knob in this case, right? So as you can see, as I'm pulling the sustain up and down, you can see I'm now removing frequency from that treble zone, right? With that treble zone, again, being 800 to 3K. And that's a little quick. You probably want something a little like longer. I mean, maybe a little more decay there because you don't want it to go woo. I mean, maybe that's an effect, but that's much better, right? So that kind of thing is something that you really want to take into consideration. Now, I might not use a 24 dB filter on a pad. I might use a 12, right? 12 is much more like it lets out some more of the higher frequencies. 24 is like good for bass. It's good for sequences. It's good for, kick drums, things like. But a pad needs to breathe a little more. So even if this was, say, an Echo Season pad, right? And it's sustained there, that would be acceptable, okay? Now, this filter envelope probably opens up a little too much. So what I'm gonna do is bring down the amount there, okay? There we go, right? It's those little small details. And I really want you guys to remember that. Is like the subtlest of modulation changes can make the biggest differences, okay? Because when you get higher and higher into the level of sound design, it becomes more of an issue of like, how many, you're marking it down by the number at that point, right? So this stuff does matter. It's important. But now we're in a better place. So first of all, we took the master knob down. Always watch your master level. You want to aim for like -6 dB. Now I talk about this in the science circle a lot. Is like, where do your pads end up? You want to end up around -6 at the peak. And as you can see, we're pretty much there right now, right? Okay. Now you can also fix some things. Now look at here. It also has a high shelf here. So like there's a high boost. Like the high frequencies were being boosted. Is that necessary? Maybe not. Especially after we've taken the sustain out. It's nice. It provides a little clarity, but if I turn it off, it's just a little boost of air, right? So that's cool. You can do that or not. I might use this space here to either do something creative, like modulating that, or using something like the lower one to like pull out a frequency that I don't want. You could go like this and do some subtractive EQ here. Maybe pulling out this frequency right here is not a bad idea, or at least taming it. Right? Now we're really keeping that fundamental harmonic under control. I'm playing in the key of C minor. That's so much better, all right? Now, another thing you'd want to do, because we're pulling the filter down a little bit more, you can add a little bit more reverb, and that will take care of that higher space and that frequency tail if you're using the onboard reverb. So I can pull up the mix here to say like 60%. If you want to keep the decay down, you can. Check it out. Watch what happens when I... You see? Because when the filter washes in, then that reverb tail is going to complete the wash and sustain that wash even further. So the reverb in Serum happens to be very nice. Even if you don't use the reverb on Serum or use some other synth, like Serum's reverb is pretty good. I like it. It's quite capable. We can increase the size here. I like that sound. It's nice, right? The delay here is fine. Quarter inch, I might go for eighth dotted. Let's go for eighth dotted. You pull it all the way up and it becomes eighth dotted. Okay. And then yeah, he's got a ping pong. That's good. See, now it's starting to multiply a little bit more. That's good. All right. Other things that like would be creative uses of this is more about like the technical aspect of pad sound design and frequency space, like holding frequency. We're not even gonna get into mixing today. I'm just focusing here on this, but this is the micro, but it's also the macro. You know what I'm saying? Like you could take this and say, okay, well, how am I gonna compose a track based on this sound? Let's use this range. I think the filter is even you can even pull the filter down even more, right? So this filter, let's go over to the mod matrix and say, I mean, we don't have much going on here, but we do have this here, and this is the bipolar modulation. Make it unipolar so you can really dial that in, right? The unipolar modulation allows you to see exactly where the minimum maximum are very clearly. That's much more musical to me, right? Combine it with that reverb. We just took this pad into a whole nother dimension. I'm excited. This is a good, like, you can do this. You can do this. It's just a matter of really knowing what you want that end result to sound like, and then doing what's necessary to get that end result. If it's not right, make the changes. Use the filter, right? Use the reverb. And the filtering and the reverb combination, that's pretty much what it is. And then you can, like I said, in the micro, that would be a micro, like, technical consideration. And then the macro would be, how do you compose this? And how does this translate into really good music? This would be a nice lead pad. I would use this as like a drifty, floaty kind of thing if you had something that was kind of deep underneath it. It's got a really nice timbre to it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for all your support. And yeah, this is one way to take something that was existing, like this, the DNA was already there. We just had to bring out the best possible quality that we could through just pushing the numbers a little bit. Technical considerations. Anyway, my name is Chris from Signs of Life. Thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.